So, a warm welcome to the CEO of ICAN.org, the Informed Consent Action Network, and the host of the weekly The Highwire, who are bringing this here live on The Highwire right now as we stand here. Welcome, Dell Bigtree.
Hello, Geneva! Hello, world! And hello, The Highwire and all the millions that are out there watching this right now. 2 delegations showed up here in Geneva this week. One declared that we are here to sign a treaty and put together rules. That treaty was written and being designed by a delegation of globalist and world power leaders. And they said to their constituents, who do you want to win this week? Us or the other delegation of humanity that plans on marching against us? Well, I'm here proudly to say, today, the people win! Today, all around the world, you must realize how powerful you are. When we look at these stone buildings towering around us in the UN in the background, too often do we think we have no power. Too often do we listen to mainstream media that tells us that we must bow down to whatever they say. But today, let it be known that all that was ever necessary was your voice, your truth, your freedom, your heart, your life. A world war was waged upon us. In almost every other war, every world war, one nation fights against another, perhaps one continent against another continent. But the first time in history, during the pandemic, a war was waged by all the governments of the world against the people. And this is what they've done. They brought us together as brothers, as sisters, as family members on this world to stand for freedom. And I want to give a shout out to all the news agencies that are here today, especially mainstream media, that totally lost and forgot what it meant to be a journalist. To you, I say, do better. Remember what journalism is supposed to be. You are not a PR propaganda machine for the governments of the world. You are not a propaganda machine for the corporations of the world. You are supposed to be challenging them. You are supposed to be asking the hard questions. Like, how long was this vaccine tested? How effective is it? And how do we know it won't injure anybody? I asked all of those questions on the Highwire. And instead of reporting on it, all the mainstream news called me a conspiracy theorist, called me anti-vaccine. So let me stand here and say to all those news agencies, I am proud to be a conspiracy theorist. And I am proud to have been against this vaccine. And I stand for all those that stood against this vaccine. And I pray for all of those that listened to you and took it, that are now suffering around the world. May their blood and their pain be on your hands, not mine. Journalists, you must return to doing your job. You are supposed to be conspiracy theorists. You're supposed to be trying to figure out if there are small agencies in little tiny buildings conspiring against us as people. That is the question you are supposed to ask. That is what you are supposed to investigate. not take these little tiny power-hungry individuals and tell us to bow down to them. You have lost your way. But thank God for all the social media and all of the powerful voices that came from nowhere to speak the truth. We've showed you that is what the millions want to listen to. And now the millions are marching because of that truth. You know who spread misinformation and malinformation? The United Nations, the WHO, the President of the United States of America, and every leader of every nation lied to you. And when those news agencies say to me, you spread misinformation, I say, really? Which one? Tell me. Lab origin? You're right. I called out lab origin when you said it had natural origin. You were wrong. I was right. How about vaccine efficacy? I said it would not stop transmission, not because I'm psychic or I have a crystal ball, but because I read the EUA, the Emergency Use Authorization written by the FDA, that said very clearly before one single person got the vaccine that we don't know if it stops transmission. Our studies could not tell, yet they told you 95% effective. That was a lie. I told the truth. And in the end, our nations were locked down. And our jobs were destroyed, our economies were destroyed, because we were told that if we stayed away from each other, if we took away our right to assemble, if we locked ourselves in our homes, if we stood 6 feet away from each other and sat down before we took off our masks, somehow the virus would avoid us. I said that was not science, and I was called anti-science. And now Tony Fauci and Francis Collins are admitting to the world there was no science behind social distancing. So what happens when the conspiracy theory is no longer a theory? Nothing. The news agencies still call us conspiracy theorists. But I have news for you. We call it the truth. And when you try to figure out how to stop us, I'll tell you it's going to be really difficult. You know why we're growing in numbers around the world? Because the truth just sounds better. We don't need mainstream news. All we need is you. Every one of you sharing the truth when you hear it, telling everyone you know. They say, at least back in America, if you don't use it, you'll lose it. So I want you to think today, are you using your freedom? Are you using your voice? Because if you are being silent, you have already let them take it away. You must now recognize that your voice matters, that we matter, that we are strong, we are people, we are the people of the world, and we are here, present, and accountable. Today we have won. Today they've sailed their ships away from our shores that they've been attacking, but they are not leaving forever. They are regrouping. So grab your surfboards, grab your paddle boards, grab your jet skis and your boats, and let's go get them and finish this once and for all. We will never comply. No one has ever complied themselves out of tyranny. If you wore the mask, just say, I will never do it again. If you were silent and you bended the knee, just say, I will never do it again. And whatever you do when you find yourself wondering, what is your purpose in this world? Recognize that you are alive at the most important time in human history, where we are moments away from these people trying to take everything that we know to be dear, all of our freedom, all of our liberty, tracking us on cameras on every pole on the streets that we're on. We will either win or we will live on our knees. So when you ask yourself why you're here, remember to tell yourself, because of freedom, Freedom! 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 Don't ever let them take it away.